Your nervous system state determines your reality. This means that depending on what nervous system state you're in, which is something your nervous system just naturally chooses for you subconsciously, depending on if you're in fight or flight or freeze or fawn, you will actually see the reality of the world differently, depending on your nervous system state. So, for example, if you are in freeze, you are more likely to see the world as hopeless and that you are a victim and that you're helpless and that things are overwhelming and that you're confused and that you're not worthy and not good enough. Shame is there in freeze. So when you're in that state, you will tend to see the world that way. What I've noticed from being in freeze is that I will start freeze from one area of my life. So there's a few major areas, my work, my family, relationships, money, things like that. So something will get triggered in one of those areas. I'll feel unsafe. I'll go into freeze. And then the freeze brain will actually take from the environment only those things that are also bad and horrible. So basically I'll start thinking I'm a bad coach and a bad mom and I'm bad with money and I can't dance. And there was one time I was getting coached when I was really in freeze and I didn't even realize until I heard myself say this. My coach was asking about things, everything was bad, because I was in freeze. And then she asked about my yoga class and I said, I had 10 people, which was usually really good. I was always aiming for about 10 people. So I said, well, I had 10 people, but I always play the same music and they probably get bored of everything I do. The class is still basically horrible, right? Even though no one said anything, the freeze mind, as I thought about my yoga class, saw the negative parts of it, what I perceived as negative, not even based in reality. Okay. And the same thing can happen if you're in a sympathetic activated state. So like fight or flight, you'll tend to see the world with more anxiousness and more worry, and you'll tend to find problems and fix them. And that also leads to the brain creating problems to fix. So you can really start to live in this fight or flight mode where you don't really feel safe to relax, because even if there's nothing wrong, you could think of the possible things that could go wrong and your brain will think about those and try to solve those problems, even though they might never happen. Chances are they won't. When you are more regulated, you tend to see the world as loving, things are working out for me, things are going to be okay, it's always this or something better. That place of faith or trust or belief or safety or even acceptance, neutrality, all of those are in the rest and repair or the parasympathetic calm state. So you'll know that you're in these states partially by how you're thinking. So if you are tending to get really angry at things and find faults in a lot of people and find imperfections and feel victimized, you might be in fight a lot. And if you're noticing that you just feel really urgent about things and there's scarcity and not enough time and you're not doing enough, then you're probably in flight. And whatever you're seeing in reality, you will take the part of it that resonates with flight or that you're perceiving from that nervous system state, and you really don't even perceive any of the good things that might happen to you. One last example of this is like if you've ever been really down on yourself and someone gives you a compliment, you might not even believe it. You might not even be able to receive it because you're so blocked and you're so in, that low survival state of freeze. So if you're in shame and freeze and feeling not good enough, even when someone says, hey, I really love you, or you did a great job with that, you might not even believe them. You might just think, oh, they're just saying that. They're just trying to be nice. So the more you start to tune into your body, to know these nervous system states, to recognize when you're in them, to shift out of them with grace and ease as you befriend and partner with your nervous system, then the easier these things will go, and the more you'll see these situations in your life start to change, where instead of, always seeing these patterns of people always being so mean and you have to fight with them, you'll start to see that there are nicer people in the world when you get more regulated, and you'll start to see the beautiful sunny day and how beautiful the mountains look, instead of just being in your own head, stuck in your survival state, worrying about something that may or may not happen. Your nervous system states determine the reality you perceive and create.